Hello, welcome to Old Testament 1. We're going to discuss DT number 2 as was given to you as an assignment. And without further ado, let's go to your DT. So, your DT is found in the midterm section of our Moodle. So, here is your midterm exam, and here is your DT number 2. So, for DT number 2, you are asked to read, or you were asked to read the article by Dr. Bob Cargill on the misuse of archaeology for evangelistic purposes. So when you click this link, it will take you to the Bible and Interpretation website. So this website is free and it contains a lot of good reading materials, academic articles, and so on. So go ahead and after reading this article, you may look for more articles that you like to read. But for this DT number 2, we want to read this article by Dr. Cargill on the misuse of archaeology for evangelistic purposes. And Dr. Cargill is a very well respected archaeologist, and he has written a lot of works also in the field of archaeology. And for this DT, we're going to look at, what does he has to say. So let's go to our DT question, and the question is, according to Dr. Cargill, how is archaeology misused? And what is his opinion on using archaeology to prove the Bible? Okay, so I have read your answers, and a lot of you really did well, especially on the first part. According to him, according to Dr. Cargill, archaeology is misused in two ways. Number one is if it is used for money making schemes, like the Noah's Ark Ministries International, or NAMI for short. And the second one is using it for evangelistic purposes. So these are the two things that he mentioned that is a misuse of archaeology. Now, what is his opinion on using archaeology to prove the Bible? Uh, the answer to this is really much connected to the first one, because you have to ask yourself, why is there a misuse or abuse of archaeology? So two answers come to mind. Number one is one of the reasons why archaeology is misused is because many Christian believers, want proof for their faith. Okay, so because of that, there are a lot of people, pseudo archaeologists or false archaeologists who take opportunity, okay, of that fact that many Christian believers want proof for their beliefs, proofs for the Bibles, and they turn to archaeology. And so many unscrupulous people uh, the, abuse that. The second one is this. It's because many people do not really understand the scientific process. Okay? Because of that, they are looking for proofs for the Bible. Now, let me explain the first one first. The need for proof for your faith. And the reason why it's called faith is because you believe it without any proof. Okay? So, that's what faith is. You will take God for His word. If God said this, then it must be so. One good example, I think he mentioned in his article as well, is Thomas the doubter. The apostles Peter and John proclaimed to the disciples that Jesus resurrected. However, Thomas said, "I won't believe you until I put my hands on his sides, and see for myself." So Thomas's motto is to see is to believe. He has to see it before he believes. And so Jesus came and showed himself to Thomas. And you have read that encounter. And at the end of the encounter, Jesus said, "Blessed are those who believe even though they don't see." Because that's what real faith is. You just take Jesus or God at His word. And no more need for proofs. But just like doubting Thomas, there are many believers today who really wanted proofs for their Bible, for the claims of the Bible. However, there's a problem, okay, which leads us to the second uh, the second answer. It's because the scientific process do not operate in a system of proofs. But on the other hand, the scientific process is about disproving. Okay, so Christians think scientific process is about proving things, but that's wrong. The scientific process is about disproving things. You see, and that's how the scientific process works. We are all observants of phenomenon or phenomena, and then each one of us would like to explain, give an explanation. These explanations, the best that we can, are called theories, and so we form theories to explain a certain phenomena or something that happened. And then, if another person can come up with a better explanation and disproves our theory, and or discovers a flaw in our reasoning, then our theories our theory gets debunked and it gets replaced. Okay, that's how the scientific process works. A process of disproving, and the process of disproving will involve experimentation. Okay, and so in the scientific process, what the answers that we give at the moment is really not 100% certain. It is tentative answer. This is the best answer so far. Okay, and experimentation will prove that you know either we our theories are consistent, or if further experimentation says our theory is wrong, then we get disproven, then our theory is thrown away. For a long time, we understood that light travels uh, with a constant speed. Okay, but right now in the age of quantum physics, this is going to be challenged because light can be there is a certain amount, but it can be slowed down. Okay, time, before we think of time as constant, constant time, but thanks to Albert Einstein, now we know that time can be hastened or slowed down. Okay, uh, because of new discoveries, and that's the scientific process. Uh, the older theories are disproved and thrown away. The new ones are accepted and taken as the current best answer. Okay, and so that is the scientific process, and this Ditty is actually related to the first Ditty. Remember, uh, the theory of evolution or natural selection and so on. These are the best explanations so far by the scientists, and that's how it works. Okay, so when Christians are expecting archaeologists to find proofs for their faith, actually that's very wrong, because archaeology does not give proofs. Okay, and that's not how the scientific method works. What archaeology can do is disprove some of our understanding about the ancient Near East. Okay, it can disprove and be replaced with current knowledge, with current understanding. Okay, so those are the reasons why there are abuses in archaeology. The use of archaeology is or the use of archaeology is misused, or the misuse of archaeology. Okay, so so Dr. Cargill gives his opinion on how do we do proper archaeology, and so he lists his tips or explanation on what is true archaeology on, or how archaeology can be used properly. Okay, so we're not saying here that archaeology is useless to biblical studies. No, we're not saying that. Archaeology is very useful, but not in proving what we believe, but archaeology is useful for providing information about the past. Because that's what archaeology is all about. Archaeologists study the past in order for us to have a better understanding of how it is like back then. Remember, at the start of this lesson or this course, we said that in order for us to understand the text, we have to learn to bend our necks and read from right to left. Okay? And what it means is we have to understand the background, how the ancients think. What are their worldviews? So this is where archaeology will come in, because archaeologists will dig sites and find material remains, the culture of the time, and then it gives us information on what it means to live back then. Okay? And thus, when we are given that background, we will be able to understand what the biblical writers are telling us now in its proper historical and cultural context. And therefore, our understanding and interpretation of the Bible is helped. Okay? So this is where archaeology is better used. So, rather than providing proofs, okay, for us, archaeology will give us a better background, help us imagine the past, okay, try to understand the current situation back then, the political situation, the cultural situation, economic situation. This will greatly help us. Like, for example, recent archaeological finds will tell us famine in the land of Canaan is very common, and it is a pattern. And therefore, it helps us understand that the stories in the Bible where famine is involved. Why does Abraham have to go to Egypt? Why do they have to go to Egypt? Jacob went to Egypt during a famine, and so on and so forth. Ruth left Jerusalem and went to Moab because there was a famine. It's a current recurrence, and the archaeologists were able to piece together information to help us understand that when a famine comes to Palestine, it's really severe. You'll die if you don't have food there. And so this gives us a better picture, okay, of what the patriarchs or the Israelites were facing at that time, and so many more. So this time we have better understanding because of the archaeological discoveries. Okay, so this is the better way to use it. And Dr. Cargill lists a lot more. If you want, you may read again the article. You can download it and print it so you have your own copy, and it's really really helpful for us. Okay, so for you, okay, we will not be requiring proofs for our faith. We don't need that. We already have the witness of our forefathers, our ancient forefathers. It was handed down to us. This tradition has been passed on from one generation to the next, that the Exodus happened. They really crossed the Red Sea. The Egyptian army was drowned. God was victorious. He brought his people to the promised land. And now we're entering into the promised land, and we're discussing about the book of Judges, and they're in the land. We just finished Joshua, and we are now in the book of Judges. And, we don't need archaeological findings to tell us the truths about God, how God dealt with Israel. We accept it by faith. And again, the scientific process does not operate in the method of proving, okay, but only in disproving. That's the scientific process. And so we cannot apply the scientific process to the Bible. And it is unfair to ask archaeologists to prove or to do something that they cannot do. Okay, I hope this is very clear. I'm really happy with how you have answered. Some of you got a little bit confused, but with this explanation, I hope that you'll be able to understand where Dr. Cargill is coming from. Okay, that's all for now. I'll see you again when we discuss DT number 3. Of course, the leather bear. Shalom.